A Sunday morning on a New York subway. It's unusually quiet. People sit with the soft shuffle of newspapers, the calm of an early day. Then a man steps in with his children and the carriage shifts. The kids are loud, restless, bumping into strangers. Annoyance rises until he speaks in a flat voice. Their mother died an hour ago. The whole scene changes at once. What do you hold on to when your view of the world flips in a single sentence? You know that feeling, the moment perspective breaks open and you see differently. This is a book about creating that shift on purpose, about becoming the kind of person who chooses their response and shapes their life from the inside out. Stay with me. We'll return to that subway in the end. Stephen R. Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in a world that loves quick tips and hacks, and told us something almost old-fashioned. Effectiveness comes from character, not tricks, but principles. Written in the late 1980s and passed from hand to hand for decades, this book matters today because noise is stronger, urgency is faster, and the temptation to react is everywhere. Covey offers a path to lead yourself first, then create results with others, and finally, renew yourself so you don't burn out along the way. Here's the heart of it. True effectiveness is an inside-out journey. You change your lens, your paradigms, and your actions follow. Private victories come before public victories. And when you align your behavior with timeless principles, you become someone others can trust. Let's turn those ideas into 5 living lessons you can carry into your week. Think of them as a sequence that starts with you, moves outward to relationships, then circles back to growth. First, lead yourself from the inside out. This is the bundle of being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, and putting first things first. It starts with a choice. You are not your mood, your past, or the weather. You're the space between what happens and what you do next. Covey calls it focusing on your circle of influence, the things you can actually touch, rather than stewing in your circle of concern. Imagine 2 colleagues. One complains about the economy, the boss, the policies. The other asks, what can I do today that actually changes something? The second person grows their influence because people feel safer with them. That's proactivity. Then, begin with the end in mind. Covey offers a vivid exercise. Imagine your own memorial service. What would you hope your spouse, your friends, your colleagues say about who you were? Not your titles, your character, your contributions. That picture becomes a personal compass. Write a simple mission statement. Not perfect, not poetic, just true. I live with integrity. I invest in my family. I build things that last. When you know your end, decisions get simpler. You stop chasing every shiny thing because your yes has a direction. Now, put first things first. If you've ever ended a day exhausted yet somehow unfinished, you know this one. Urgent things scream. Important things whisper. Covey's time matrix divides tasks into urgent and important. The trap is Quadrant 1 and 3, fires and busy work. The life you want is in Quadrant 2, planning, relationships, deep work, renewal. Picture next week on a blank page. Before anything else, schedule the quiet but important. A deep work block, dinner with someone you love, exercise, a thinking hour. Protect those like appointments with your future self. There's a story Covey loves about the goose and the golden eggs. Chase more eggs by neglecting the goose, and you lose both production and capacity. In other words, don't trade your long-term power for short-term wins. The triad of proactivity, purpose, and priority is your private victory. When you practice it, you start to feel a kind of calm authority in your own life, and that leads naturally to how you work with others. Second, think win-win. The world often sells a false choice, your game or mine. Covey invites an abundance mentality. Not naive optimism, but the belief that trust and creativity can make bigger pies. This habit starts with what he calls an emotional bank account. Every promise kept, every moment you listen rather than defend, every time you clarify expectations. Those are deposits. Betrayals, sarcasm, broken commitments, withdrawals. When the account is low, every conversation is tense. When it's high, conflict becomes a joint problem to solve. Picture two partners negotiating roles. Win-Lose says, if you get the credit, I don't. Win-Win asks, what result serves the mission and how do we both come out proud? It doesn't mean avoiding hard talk. It means being tough on problems and tender with people. One small practice, when you propose something, add, here's what success would look like for both of us, and invite them to add their criteria. That sentence alone shifts the energy from competition into collaboration. Third, seek first to understand, then to be understood. If you've ever tried to fix someone's feelings with advice, you know why this matters. Covey compares it to prescribing glasses before you examine the eyes. Most of us listen autobiographically. We filter people through our stories. I know exactly how you feel. Here's what I did. It feels like empathy, but it centers us. Empathetic listening is different. You listen until the other person feels seen, not corrected. You reflect what you hear and the emotion underneath. You're not just frustrated, you feel invisible in the process. Only then do you ask permission to share your view. A manager once told me that one phrase changed her team. Can I reflect what I'm hearing and you tell me what I'm missing? That humility opens doors. Ironically, once someone feels understood, they're far more open to your logic. The order matters. Understanding first builds a bridge strong enough to carry your ideas across. Fourth, create synergy. It's a word that can sound like a poster in a conference room, but Covey means something practical and brave. Value differences enough to invent a third alternative neither side could see alone. Not compromise, which slices the pie thinner. Creation, which bakes a new pie. This demands two muscles at once, high courage and a high consideration. You say your truth clearly, and you honor theirs fully. Then you play. Giving your constraints and my goals, what could we build if we weren't protecting our egos? I once watched two departments fight over budget lines like rival tribes. Then one meeting reframed the question. If the metric is customer trust, how would we allocate? Within an hour, they drafted a joint plan that neither would have proposed alone. That's synergy. It thrives on diversity, different styles, backgrounds, disciplines. Try a simple ritual. In your next tough meeting, commit to producing 3 options that neither party walked in holding. You'll be surprised how often the third or fourth path dissolves the old fight. Fifth, sharpen the saw. You are not a machine. You're a whole person with 4 dimensions: body, mind, heart, spirit. The story goes that a man is sawing a tree, sweating, exhausted, getting nowhere. Why not sharpen the saw? Someone asks. I don't have time, he says. That's us when we postpone sleep, learning, friendship, reflection. Renewal is not indulgence, it is strategy. Physical renewal could be a brisk walk, strength training, stretching, real food, and honest rest. Mental renewal is reading, focused learning, and clean thinking time away from notifications. Social and emotional renewal is service, gratitude, honest conversations that refill your trust accounts. Spiritual renewal is time with your deepest values through prayer, nature, journaling, art. Choose one habit in each dimension and make it small enough to do daily. 10 minutes of reading, a handwritten note every Friday, a weekly walk without your phone, a quiet morning check-in with your mission statement. The paradox is that by stepping back, you move faster and steadier. Your capacity grows, the goose gets healthier, and the eggs multiply. Let's weave these lessons into a simple rhythm for your next week. Monday morning, before you touch your inbox, write 3 sentences that begin with "I am committed to." Ground them in who you want to be, not what you want to do. That's your end in mind. Then choose 2 Quadrant 2 actions and calendar them. No negotiation. Midweek, enter one conversation with a single goal. Make a deposit in someone's emotional bank account without keeping score. Ask a question that invites their truth and reflect it back. Before Friday ends, list one place where win-lose thinking is shrinking you. Draft a win-win proposal and send it. Saturday or Sunday, renew. Move your body. Read something that stretches you. Call someone you love and give them your unbroken attention. Spend 10 minutes with your mission, asking, what kind of person am I becoming? This is how character stays alive, not as a poster on a wall, but as a lived cadence you can feel. There is one more thread that ties the habits together: integrity between what you say and what you do. Trust is the ultimate multiplier. You cannot fake it for long. Keep small promises to yourself first. Wake at the time you said. Do the one thing you scheduled. Speak respectfully of people when they're not in the room. These are seeds. Trust grows quiet and tall, and when it is present, everything moves with less friction. The meetings are shorter, the emails get simpler, the need to control shrinks because reliability replaces fear. Think back to the subway. Before the father spoke, irritation felt righteous. After he spoke, compassion felt obvious. The world didn't change. The story did. The habits are tools to rewrite your story before life shakes you awake. Proactivity says you can choose your response. Vision says you can choose your direction. Priorities say you can choose your next step. Generosity says you can seek outcomes where nobody loses their dignity. Empathy says you can listen until understanding opens a new door. Creativity says you and I can find a third way. Renewal says you can refuel so the journey continues. You won't do them perfectly. You don't need to. You need to practice them deliberately, one honest day at a time. Here are the essential takeaways, distilled. Effectiveness starts inside. Don't wait for the world to calm down before you choose who you will be. Define the person you intend to become and let that future pull you. Put your real priorities on the calendar and defend them. Enter relationships like a gardener, building trust before you pick fruit. Listen to understand, not to win. When conflict comes, aim not for surrender or victory, but for a new solution worthy of both sides. And never postpone the work of renewal, because your capacity is the engine of every other promise you keep. If you carry only one sentence into tonight, make it this: I am responsible for my choices, and I will live by principles that outlast my moods. Before we close, come back with me to that quiet subway. Feel the shift from annoyance to tenderness when a single fact reframed the scene. Today, you will be given a dozen moments like that: emails, interruptions, small collisions of agenda and feeling. Your power lives in the space between stimulus and response. If you want to put this book to work, here's your move. In the next hour, choose one Quadrant 2 action and schedule it. In the next conversation, ask one question that shows you care and listen until they finish. And tonight, sharpen one edge of your saw. There's a community here committed to living these habits together, not as theory, but as a way of moving through the world with purpose and kindness. You're invited. Now, I'd love to hear from you. In one sentence, what is the smallest important action you will protect this week? Something that you can schedule today. Share it below so others can borrow your courage and add their own. And when you're ready for your next step, open the Habits playlist and keep the momentum going. If this helped, send it to one person who's on your team and invite them to join us tonight. Let's build a quiet revolution of character, one steady choice at a time.